second appearance on this show, and we don't usually have people back twice, except maybe some comedians, is actually a person who grew up listening to I-95. Her name is Sandra Champlain. The book is called We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. And I was reading you some of the Facebook messages I got when I said you were coming on. Talk about skeptics. 5 paragraphs full of skepticism.
5?
Hey, yeah. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, it's nice to have you.
Super happy to be here. Super happy.
Okay, since you were here last time, now that when you were here the first time, you were book signing at Barnes & Noble.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And how many people showed up?
47.
47. That probably was due. I don't want to take credit.
You can take credit. Okay. You can. There was even a gentleman, when I was walking out the door, he saw me with the books, some books in my hand, and he had driven an hour and a half. I don't know where he was listening from.
Right. And
he was praying that he'd meet me. He had lost his wife. And anyways, so he got a copy of the book, and really great things happened.
Yeah, now you have a documentary.
Which is mind-blowing.
That's awesome.
And this guy isn't he award-winning documentarian?
Yeah, his name is Robert Lyon. He's now a close personal friend, but who he was before, he is a videographer, and he works with the Patron Tequila race team, which is, of course, you know, my day job is I'm a chef for race car teams. And he was someone who saw my book table under the food tent and kind of, I don't know, blew off the title, and I don't believe in any of that kind of thing. And at some point, the curiosity got the best of him, and he read the book. He came to meet me and talk to me after, and he said it changed his life. It gave him just so much faith that we are so much more than just our bodies. And so he flew to Massachusetts, where I live, spent 2 days with me, and created the best 50-minute video. I mean, people may not sit through a book that's 283 pages, but he's like, let's change somebody's life in 50 minutes. So that's what it is. It gives you goosebumps. It's my journey, and does a lot of the explanation as to who we are.
Well, for those who didn't catch the show last time when you were on, tell people about the book. What is the book about?
Yes, my book is We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. It is my journey from total cynicism and skepticism. Anybody who would believe in life after death or mediums or psychics, I went on a journey to prove for myself very privately that life after death exists, just based on a huge fear I had of dying. My dad had been diagnosed with cancer and was on the verge of death when I was 14. I had lost my grandfather, certainly pets, and there's a time I think every human being looks up in the universe and who am I, what is my life for? Started me on a very private journey of literally working with scientists, doctors, a physicist, going to study with mediums, proving out of my own mind, Lou, seeing deceased people around others, which certainly if there's mediumship possible, it's not going to happen to Sandra Champlain. Well, it did. And so I researched even more than most people do about life after death. And for myself, my fear was quieted. But at that point, was I ever going to tell anybody? No, because I would think people would think I'm crazy if I talked about this. Fast forward to 2010, my dear father passes away in Danbury Hospital. The world of grief opened up between me and my family. And as we all know, grief is the most painful experience any human being will suffer. I found out some things about the grieving process, how our brain acts in regards to grief. Long story short, the information I found, I created a free audio called How to Survive Grief, bought the domain name survivegrief.com. Didn't know what I was doing, but the information I knew changed my life. Within just a few months, over 3,000 people in 15 countries had downloaded it. People started reporting how it eased their pain, how it gave them hope, how it helped in their relationships not fight. And the final thing that made me say this needs to be in a book is people started emailing me, even telling me face-to-face, people that were so depressed they were going to commit suicide, end their own life, and they chose to live because they found out what they were feeling was part of grief. So I am not the grief lady. It was a phase in my life, and I know we all have to go through it. But I thought, if I'm sitting with this information, it needs to get out in the world. And not many people are looking for a book on grief, but I knew if I could be courageous and share my story, from skeptic and not believing in any of this to the world of We Don't Die, and include one chapter on grief and then the rest of the book, how to live a very powerful life as a human being. I thought that would be a winner, and certainly it has been. It hit #1 book on Amazon, which I'm grateful to say, and now is changing thousands of lives in the world.
Let me ask you a question. The most asked question on my Facebook page was, is death a progression to something better? Because there's where the fear lies.
Right.
You know, like what's going to happen? Is it going to be nothingness?
I say no, and there's. First of all, I know who's listening right now, because there are people just like me who, if I had heard this conversation several years back, I would have thought, there's no way this is possible. Nobody can have proof. What is a girl who makes chocolates and who's a chef, and what does she know about life after death? Well, I can tell you, I'm human. And like all of us, we have our fears. We have our little voice inside of our head that is constantly telling us negative things about ourselves. We all know when
you should hear the voices in my head.
I bet. Well, I think you have them on loudspeaker. Lou. But it's really powerful to realize that who may be asking these skeptical questions may not really be us. We look in the mirror first thing in the morning. Are we filled with powerful thoughts? Are we filled with how great we are? No, we're telling ourselves something negative. We're not good enough. We're
so how does one turn that around? Like this book could change Lou's life.
It could change Lou's life.
If I could read.
But Lou likes to watch videos, and so I brought Lou a copy of the DVD. How you change your mind, first of all, is you understand that we have this little voice. It's not us. It's not our most empowering self. I mean, Lou, you could be thinking terribly negative things about yourself, but if you ask
just mostly about him.
In your life, if you ask everybody in your life, they'd have a different story, because we are so hard on ourselves. So anyways, I'd like to get back to your original question. I mean, we recognize we have the voice, we set it aside, we listen for truths and things, we go further than we normally do investigating, and don't just take what people say as the truth. I mean, really investigate it. But when we die, I believe, first of all, that our life here on earth is temporary. Of course, we know that. There is this experience, we can call it heaven, we can call it the hereafter. I think it's a place where we go, we regroup, we look at what we learned. We look at how our soul's grown or not. I do think it's a place where miracles happen, and we're going to see our loved ones, and it's our pets, all of it. And then I personally believe in reincarnation. I don't believe we drop dead, we wake up and somebody else. I think the people that are in our lives, we kind of do this game again, over again, and we grow together. But nothing to be feared as far as death.
I want to come back as a pug.
We have to go to the break here. A question I want to ask you can be thinking about this, is once we pass over, and you're surrounded by relatives and your loved ones, is there any privacy there? Because Lou's got a problem.
I need my space.
14,
I need my space.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a second. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
Sandra
I'm happy.
Champlain will be back for another segment at about 7:45. Welcome back, Sandra Champlain, to the show, her second appearance, author of the book We Don't Die.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
It is fascinating stuff, and it's just, to me, and I figured maybe it would be fascinating to many other people, as you have found out.
It is very fascinating.
So let me lead with the question I asked before we went to the last break. When we cross over, are our dead relatives and dear friends always with us?
Yes. Well, I don't know about always, because I haven't been there yet, but between people that have had near-death experiences and their final moments, they see whether it's an angel, whether it's a deceased loved one. One gentleman that I know, he was with his dad prior to his passing in a hospital, and the father opened his eyes and he saw people there, and he had a big smile on his face, and they were ready to greet him, and the names that he was giving, he didn't even realize that these people were deceased. They were. And there's just so many stories that when we close our eyes here on earth the last time, we open them someplace that seems so much more real. Have you ever had the experience of having a dream that was so real that you woke up and it was like, oh my God, I thought that was real?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the experience of waking up in heaven or the hereafter,
She never
you
has a face.
wake up.
She never has a face.
My.
I don't know why. Where's your face? Wake up like, who is that?
I don't even know how to respond
I
to
know,
that, but
I know.
I understand what you speak
Welcome to
of.
my world, yes.
I get it, but to wake up and think, oh, I'm back home,
Right.
having that feeling of being at home in heaven or the hereafter, and that the life on earth was just a dream, a feeling of reality, having not just your family members, but pets, loved ones, acquaintances. And here's the cool thing is they say that we get to be whatever age we want to be, our
Really?
best age. So we may not have glasses. We may be our healthy weight. We feel good.
You can pick it?
You can
choose?
pick it. I had seen a medium that I had a private one-on-one with after Dad died, and even though I believe in what I do, I missed my dad something terrible. And she not only started talking about really specific things that only Dad could know to verify that he's around, but she's an artist. She started drawing a picture. All of a sudden, Dad's eyes came first. There's a picture that I have of Dad when he was in the Air Force in his 20s, and all of a sudden, this picture's starting to develop that brown hair, brown eyes. I mean, just like it looks like one of his pictures from the Air Force. Not exactly, but enough that it wasn't somebody else. And she said, we get to be our best selves. And for your dad, that age being in the Air Force was the best for him. So holy cow. And she's thespiritartist.com. If you want to see some mind-blowing pictures of people as they lived and her impersonate her vision in her mind and her drawings, it's crazy good.
That's a cool thing.
My experience is I have a very good friend who, in her early 20s, died on the operating table at one point.
Wow.
And said that this is what she experienced. She experienced seeing her relatives who had passed over, telling her that they would see her eventually, but it wasn't going to be right now.
Right.
She didn't want to go back.
Because
why
it
would you
feels
wanna
too
go
good.
back?
Right.
Yeah. We've got a job to do here on Earth. And for each one of us, it's something different. I think that there's some of us that have the same frustrations over and over and over. And out of those kind of things, we grow and we figure out who we're meant to be on Earth and to learn, to love, to get education for the soul. I think that's what it's about. Our most painful things that happen to us, in the moment, they really suck. And it hurts, but out of it can come your very best. You hear major stories of people and what they're doing now, even Dad dying and going through such horrible pain. Now, between my grief audio and the book, there's well over 10,000 people that have gotten a healing message. And I'm touring now. I'm doing book signings and all kinds of great things.
Speaking of book signings.
Tomorrow, Saturday, December 7th at Barnes & Noble Danbury from 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
Yes.
Now, a question for you, and this could be one of the ultimate challenges. Could this video, documentary, or book turn Lou's life around from a lifetime of dislike and irritation and hate to a man with a hope and dream?
That's how you describe me?
No. But a guy who's negative, he can be negative, to someone who's just has the hope that everything will turn out magical.
You bet it can. I mean, even the guy, this is why he created the documentary. And if anybody wants to watch it, it's at wedon'tdie.com.
I'm not as miserable as he's making
No,
me out to be.
I know.
Listen, just because I
you're
hate the
not.
Rockefeller Center tree and I don't want to go down there and I think you're an idiot if you go stare at the tree and I'd rather have a rock dropped on my head than go stare at the tree, doesn't mean I'm that negative.
There's nothing negative about that.
I rest my case.
But here's the thing, to open you or me or up to that we're so much more than just this body and mind. That's what it does. I mean, that little voice in our head convinces us of only negative, not the positive. How many great things have we had to happen in our life? And now the voice in our head puts it as, oh, that's no big deal. And it concentrates on negative stuff. I mean, we are not looking at the magic in life. I've got my iPhone in my hand. Nobody has a clue how wirelessly this can connect us how the internet works. There's this invisible space radio waves. You're driving in your car right now, and there's a voice coming out of the radio, this little box. Now, 150 years ago, people would have said, you're crazy. That's impossible. That's the devil's work. It's not, there's no way. Well, that's technology. But we take it all for granted. And I want people to start questioning. I mean, we're all made up of energy. We're living in this miraculous world on this earth. There is 1,000 stars like our sun for every grain of sand on our earth. That's mind-blowing. But we're so caught up in checking our email and whatever we're stewing on in our brains that we miss life. And so the real message here is I want people to live fully, live full out. You've got the muffins in front of you. You're eating, eat, enjoy. With the senses that we have, our 5 senses, be here now.
But it takes,
don't miss your life.
Takes some work, though. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
No, it takes work. It's like developing a new habit, like brushing your teeth. And we all have habits of negative self-talk, and we can change that. And it does take work. Catching ourselves in the act, putting a more positive statement in, or even thinking of something you're grateful for, or even just quieting the mind just for a couple of seconds will give peace.
Well, if anybody can develop a habit, it's me. So
yeah,
I'm on this.
Yeah.
I got this.
You're gonna.
I'm here to support you.
Right. So, the documentary is out on DVD. We Don't Die, and the book has been out for a while. A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death.
And Barnes and Noble tomorrow.
2 to 4.
2 to 4, and book available at your favorite bookstore, or come see me at WeDon'tDie.com. You can email me questions. You can preview the book. You can listen to that grief audio I was telling you about, and so much of my information is on my website.
It's awe-inspiring. Not that you're going to change automatically if you read the book or watch the video, but it certainly is something to think about.
We have grief audio, too. It's called the Ethan and Lou Show.
Wow. And you have brought some DVDs and some books to give away, right?
I have, and you can give them away to your listeners however you see fit.
We shall do that.
I'm a giver.
All right. Thank you again for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Sure.